PR Connections Radio presents. This episode of the PR Connections podcast is brought to you by Classy Communications PR and Advertising. Classy Communications provides public relations and marketing solutions for businesses, professionals, and nonprofit organizations. They can deliver the true meaning of your business with press releases, social media marketing, web development, email marketing, book publishing, and much more. Wherever your potential clients are, they can help you connect with them. Visit classycommunications.net to learn more about their suite of services that can help your business stand out from the rest. Classy Communications is your solution for business success.
Well, welcome to another segment of We Have the Power. And after this brief infomercial, we will be back with what I always love happens at the end of the month. And that is my special segment, So You Want to Be a Blank. And we'll talk about exactly the industry professional that I'm going to interview, Guy Dawson, right after this message. I'll be right back.
Yeah, Brian, I apologize. I am not finding your intro, so I think we'll have to forego that one on this one.
Let me back up. Okay.
Thank you for being so flexible. You know how it is in the world of content creation. Sometimes we have to go with the punches.
I'm very flexible. So, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Brian Gardner. I host We Have the Power every Thursday at 5 p.m. And at the end of the month, I always do a segment that I hope helps out many people, and that is to talk to an industry professional about the good, the bad, and the ugly, in case you are looking to go into a particular industry. And before you go too far down that road, you can find out what it's like to be a bricklayer, a construction worker, a teacher, a doctor, whatever it might be. Today, we have Guy Dawson, who started PRConnectionsRadio.com. He's going to talk about how he got started as a content producer, what it's like to run a company with many, many people and their podcasts. Normally, a person will have one podcast. He hosts many of them. Welcome to the show, Guy. I'm so glad to have you on. Let's talk about how you got started and what interested you in having what you have today.
Well, thank you so much, Brian. I really appreciate you inviting me over to We Have the Power. We Have the Power was one of the first shows, actually, that aired on our network. And I know we had just talked a couple of minutes ago about this being your 5th season. It's just unbelievable how time flies.
Yeah. So really, I do want to find out for the people viewing. And, I have this idea, Guy, that maybe this will get loaded on your site. Somebody will see it and go, I got to call Sally's son. He wants to be a content creator. I got to get him to watch this segment. And I'm very passionate about that, because we could help Ted or Sally or Bill or June, right, to decide, do I really want to go into that? So I think the best place to start, because you started with no hosts, just an idea. How did you get started? What interested you in developing what you have developed to this day with 20 people hosting podcasts?
Yeah, we have quite a few shows. I think we have 17 active shows on our network right now. And we've got, multiple other shows in the works.
Yeah. So what got you started in being interested in that?
Yes. So my beginnings in media go back to 2008. So I run a public relations and advertising company called Classy Communications. And so when I got started with that company back in 2008, I was basically looking for media for other people. That's what a publicist does. We're kind of the behind the scenes people who go out and look for media for other people. I was given an opportunity in 2011. I was representing a client, and I went on a radio show on an AM radio station in 2011. And so this was a nonprofit organization. They were all about teaching kids martial arts to protect them from bullying. Yeah. And so I had booked them on this AM radio show, and I went on the show. And after it was over, well, I wasn't on the show, I was there with my client. Yeah. And after the client got interviewed, the host of the show reached out to me and said, "Hey, Guy, we'd love to we have a few extra minutes here. Do you want to come on and talk about how you help people with public relations and marketing? And so I went on the air that day and just talked about my business. And before I left the studio, one of the sales reps for the radio station approached me and said, "Hey, Guy, you sounded great on the radio. Have you ever considered hosting a show yourself, and you could teach people about public relations and marketing?" And so I had never really thought about it for me. Again, as the PR person, most of the things you do are behind the scenes. Right. But I decided to give it a try, and I started this show. The salesman came up with the title PR Connections.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah. So he is the person who actually came up with this name. I didn't come up with the name PR Connections. And so I started that radio show back in 2011. I was doing it once a month, and I was bringing on people and interviewing them and about their businesses and, giving people tips about how to market themselves and things. And so that was the beginning of it all. The show grew, and then I ended up on an FM radio station on down the line. And I got into other aspects of media as the years went on. I started an internet television show in, I think it was 2014, called The Guy Dawson Show. Yeah. And so that was the beginning of me starting to see where media was headed. So this was an internet TV show in a studio. Brian, as a matter of fact, you came on to The Guy Dawson Show.
I was on there.
You were one of the guests on the. Now
that I was on the Mayflower.
We've been friends for so long, But anyway, yes. So The Guy Dawson Show gave me a whole nother perspective. It was Facebook Live before there was a Facebook Live, or StreamYard, which is the platform that we use now to stream all these shows. They had tapped into it. And it was just great. I could see where the internet was going, where streaming was going. And then a couple of years later, I started to have this vision of why not. I had this experience being a part of all these media platforms, being radio stations, TV stations. I did a cable TV show in I think it was early 2020 as well. So I just had a lot of experience with media, Brian, and I always had this vision that I could create something that similar to what they created with the technology, the growth in technology. And in 2020, it all came together when I discovered this streaming platform that we use for all our shows on the network, and the rest is history. Here we are.
Yeah. Now, specifically, somebody who's watching or was told to watch this show because they have an interest in either having a podcast or not really wanting to be the person on camera, but they want to run their own, and not to create competition for you, but let's say, Marion calls Betty and has a son in Illinois or something, it's not going to affect you. But so what are the things that are kind of the requirements you need? What are some of the downsides of this, but what are also some of the joys of doing what you're doing for someone who's watching that has a little inkling that they might want to do this?
I think if someone wanted to run their network the way that we run ours, Brian, where we have multiple podcasts in different genres, there's a lot of people out there who have YouTube channels, individual podcasts.
Right.
When you're talking about producing multiple shows the way that we produce them, I think you have to have a high level of curiosity. So I have a journalistic background. I started writing for the my high school newspaper in the 10th grade. So I'm wired really for journalism. I think, yes, that would be one of the things I would recommend, is that you definitely want to have a vast level of curiosity. Because for me, I love developing different types of shows. I mean, your show has its own culture. And then we have mental health shows. We have sports shows. We have so many different genres that we cover. So that would be the one thing I would, for a person that wanted to do what we are doing here and what I founded, definitely a high level of curiosity.
Okay. Now, I'm an independent conservative, but if a person, Tom Smith, wants to open somewhere in the United States what you have done, you have to also be benevolent, because unless you want to just have all liberal shows or all conservative shows, you have to say, well, I don't really agree with what Sally is saying on her liberal show or her conservative show. I like what Bill is saying on vice versa. But I'm going to open up the podcast that we host to anybody who wants to speak without being negative or vulgar or anything like that. Because if you don't, then you're going to get into some dark waters, correct?
Yeah, I mean, it's a matter of preference, Brian. You know, when my vision of the network and what it would be a digital community that would feature all these different podcasts, but also free speech, right? Freedom of speech was one of the fundamental things. And I know you and I had these conversations when you were just getting your show started, because it was and it still is very important to me that people be able to express themselves without the interference of some executive producer or producer telling you what you should say, that is, I know we've talked about how un-American that is. Right.
And here's go ahead. Well, here's something else. I may not agree with Sally and what she's saying. Regardless, we don't need to put a political tag on her. Let's say I don't agree with what Sally is saying about some topic or her show. If somebody came in and we're not going to let her air her show anymore, even though I disagree with her, I'm kind of a unique independent conservative. I'd say, no, you don't. Yeah, but you don't even like what she says. I know, but you're not going to stop her from being able to say what she wants to say, but you don't even like what she says. I know, but freedom of speech is senior to me dictating or you dictating. And even saying this right now, I can feel myself getting a little emotional about that, because I'm so passionate about the fact that we have a right to express ourselves only in a country where there's one leader says this is only what gets to said. You know, if you don't like being in this country and hearing things you don't like, well, once you start limiting one person, where does it stop? So that's what I love. That's what I love about. So going back to if someone's watching this, they would have to be willing to have maybe somebody talking about pro-guns, anti-guns, and just go, okay, I don't agree with them, but they're going to do a podcast. You can't be restrictive. I don't think you'd be as successful as you are, right?
Yeah, I mean, commercial media has its place, as we know, Brian. There are lots of media outlets that are very slanted in one direction, politically, let's just say, right? Red or blue. And, you know, again, there's a huge market out there for that. One of the great things about new independent media is that it allows us to be able to express ourselves the way that we want. And the tagline for PR Connections is the voice of new media. So the voice of new media means that our partnerships that we have with sponsors or with our podcasters or with anyone, you know, we're not going to go against our principles just because one party or one ideology wants to dominate. That's just not what this is about. This is the beautiful. So this is one of the upsides to this, Brian. You know, you were talking about, there are, of course, I'll tell you some of the downsides in a minute, all right, of running. It's not all peaches and cream running any business, let alone running a media outlet. But one of the upsides is that we can be who we are. We can express ourselves the way that we want. And that is, you know, that's the essence. So when I bring people onto the network, or we bring people onto the network, you know, they don't have to worry about that type of interference.
Or suppression.
I know with you, I mean, you be you, Brian. I've always told you that. And so independent media allows you, because we're smaller. Of course, we want our audience to grow, but it allows us to present the type of media that is in alignment with our First Amendment rights. Yeah.
Now, before you get into any negative, I want to get to a couple of nuts and bolts. On a typical week, how much time do you, as the head of this PR Connections Radio, have to spend doing this job? This is an important question.
Right. So, I mean, it's really hard to measure whenever you're in business. It's very hard to measure a lot of times, Brian, how many hours you're putting into it because you're like always working. Right. So it's
People
difficult to
should know
really
that.
measure.
People should know that.
And that's something to write. So, yes, when you get involved in something where you have high levels of responsibility, and so we talked about there being 17 different shows, then we also have a staff behind the scenes. So we have, our chief operations officer, Dana Wall Oakley. So she does a lot of the operational aspect of running the network, which is a wonderful thing. I mean, she's just an outstanding human being, period. But she's also extremely competent and does a great job helping us to run all of this and produce these shows. And then we have other staff members. We have virtual engineers behind the scenes that are making sure that these shows air. And we have administrative people. So there's a whole staff behind all of this.
Now, are they mainly volunteers?
No, I have a staff. I have paid employees.
Good. Okay. And then the other question, I'm sure people watching who might want to do what you're doing, you don't have to give me figures, but do you count on this activity to produce some of the income you live on, or do you count on a separate job and this is just your passion? Which is that?
Right. So, when you start a business, we're 5 years into the development of PR Connections now. And so, I'm still investing in PR Connections.
Okay.
Most businesses, it takes quite a while before you get a return. And that's one of the things that you should also understand where you're talking about, do you want to do this? Are you willing to keep investing your money? I mean, I run a public relations and advertising company, and I have other things that I do to generate revenue.
Sure.
So that investment, yes, don't expect to get a return on investment immediately when you start up something like this, because it's just the cost of doing business. If you're not ready for that, if you're someone that's going to need a paycheck in a year or 2 years or 3 years, or me, even 5 years, right? I'm prepared for this. I've been an entrepreneur for so long. I already know that it's going to be years probably. I'm just trying to build the best product that I can possibly produce. And I know that the money will come later on. I just have a lot of experiences, and I've been an entrepreneur since I was 11 years old.
But that is so important for people watching this segment to understand, like the mother's right there watching her daughter watch this show. All right, Sally, did you hear what he said? You're not going to make money in the first 1, 2, 3, or 4 or 5 years. That's okay, Mom. I'll do a different job. I love this. Okay, I just want to make sure you know. Now, tell me some other scary things that have happened that might either deter someone or go, okay, I'll watch out for that.
I mean, just the development, Brian. You have to all the moving parts. So, this is the fun part. What we're doing here, and I have my own podcast on the network, but for the most part, I'm behind the scenes. So this is the fun when you're actually on the air. We're having a great conversation, but this is 30 minutes that we're going to be here doing this. Everything that it takes in order to keep the network running is extremely time intensive. There's a lot of calculations. There's bills. There's, you have a very short period of pleasure. And the rest of the stuff it's pleasurable because I believe in it and I'm driven by it and I'm committed to it. I'm committed to all of US podcasters. I'm committed to developing something that is going to be sustainable.
Yeah.
Right. So that's that drives me. But at the same time, there's a lot of work that goes into making sure that all of this happens. And I'm accountable to a lot of people.
Sure. Now, just for instance, you don't get this airtime free. I mean, that has to be paid to the company that provides you so that's one bill right there that is inescapable. Now, I can share something with you that dovetails right into what you said. I'm in a band. If I told the general audience how many times we go over the same song and keep finding little things to fix until that song is presentable, they'd go, I don't want to be a musician. I mean, we go over it and over it and over it, you know, and a lot of times we'll play a song 10 times. Let's go over it once more. Hey, you're playing the wrong chord in the third verse. Wow, I didn't know, but we do it. The rehearsing amount of time is like this. And here's the performance time. Just like you said, this is the fun, but all the preparations, all the setup, we practice at least once a week for 3 hours. We haven't even had a performance yet because we're still getting our songs together. Most people who work in a cubicle, and I have nothing against people that work in a cubicle, most people that work in a cubicle would say, that's what it takes to be a musician? Forget it, So the thing is, my show also handles something. If Joe is watching this segment and goes, whoa, I thought I could get into this thing, make money immediately. It'd be so easy. Don't have to work long hours. Could quit my job at, the pizza joint or whatever. It's really good that they understand what it's like to get a business. It's like pushing a snowball. You push and pretty soon though, you get the momentum rolling and then but that time to get that snowball to the point where it will roll is the work you're still doing right now.
Yeah, the commitment, Brian. You have to be all in. When I talk to any entrepreneur out there, or wannabe or would-be entrepreneur, I shouldn't say wannabe, would-be entrepreneur, and I have to really tell them your level of commitment to producing what it is that you're developing has to be outrageous. So you have to be all in
here, and then here's outrageous up here.
Yes. I mean, your level of commitment to producing whatever it is that you want to produce, it's beyond what a person, like you mentioned, that has a 9-to-5 job. Again, nothing against a person who goes to work, they're done with their day, they go home, they're with their family, they go back the next day, and at the end of the week, they get a paycheck. They don't have any of the headaches. Their headaches are within that period of time, right? So there's always headaches. Yeah, that's life. But yeah, when you've decided that you're going to run a business and you're trying to create something that is sustainability. See, Brian, again, the fact that you've had 5 seasons on this network, for me, that's a sense of fulfillment. I mean, not just our friendship and the quality of the shows and the way I've seen you grow through the years and some of the content that you've created. Again, we don't have to agree on every single topic that you've covered, but your professionalism and the way that you delivered your shows, there's no questioning that. And so that's where your fulfillment is as a business. And of course, the profits are coming. I know this because we're developing something that's fantastic. But if you're not all in, you'll never be able to weather the peaks and valleys that you're going to encounter as an entrepreneur.
Yeah, I want people to know that I don't have a bunch of advertisers clamoring to advertise on my show and I'm making tons of money from the show. It is because I'm passionate about making sure that people, whatever side of the spectrum they're on, realize that we are responsible for the condition this country is in. And, maybe some advertisers will like what I'm doing down the road, but it's almost like what you said again. If you get into it only for the money, you're going to be dissatisfied. Now, is there any special training that you think, we've got about 2 minutes, any special training that someone might find really helpful if they want to go into what you've done?
Yeah, I mean, the internet is such a great source. Again, if you have the curiosity and you got the work ethic and you have a unworldly level of commitment, the next best thing now is the skill set. And so the internet is just full of information about how to develop this.
And certainly Toastmasters, you got to mention Toastmasters. Wow.
Oh, well, absolutely. Yes. Brian and I, we met through Toastmasters International many years ago. So in terms of developing yourself as a communicator, that has absolutely been something that has benefited me in the development of all of this. And I did a lot of leadership. I've also done a lot of organizational leadership within Toastmasters, which has helped a lot with running a company, because what happens is as you grow, you start to have different tiers of leadership. So originally, you're the one. I was the one running the network, and I was managing you remember this. I was managing all the podcasts. So the next level is then you have a CFO or a COO that comes in that starts helping you with operations. So there's another level. Then there's people underneath her now. She manages people and so on. So organizational leadership is another thing. But yes, Toastmasters would be a great, great thing because they have the combination of the communication and the leadership. Right. That would be really a great start.
It's funny, just before we finish, I have a classic Volkswagen business. I work for the family printing business, and I have a band. And I told one of the band members, he was talking about a potential venue we could play at. And I probably would have taken it on myself, but I realized it's better to let others help. So I said, hey, Mark, can you talk to those people? See, do they have microphones? Do they have stuff we need, whatever? He totally handled that for me. I didn't have to do it. So that's something else you're talking about. You're going to have people to help you. You can't do everything.
Yes, and that's where the leadership aspect, that's an underrated aspect of business, Brian. You being a part of a band, you understand that. The leadership element of running a company, if you're not committed to growing as a leader, you have to keep growing. Right. Just like I mentioned with you with this show, what I've observed in 5 seasons working with you on this is your willingness to grow as a podcaster is the reason why I think you're keeping that fire. And you've got so many topics. Leadership, growing as a leader is an absolute essential if you're going to run a sustainable organization.
I want to thank you for being on the program. I think that there's plenty of ways if someone has further questions for you about being the kind of position you are in, they can reach you, and you can give something now if you want to, or otherwise they can just contact PR Connections Radio. But certainly some people might have some questions. I want to let the viewers know to tune in next Thursday at 5 p.m. Pacific. And we'll have another topic on We Have the Power as we move toward taking responsibility for the condition this country is in for now and for the future, and the people that are going into certain industries. That's why every month, at the end of the month, I feature another industry professional to help people make decisions about the kind of work they want to do in their lives. Thank you all for watching, and thank you for what you put together here, Guy, and thank you for being on the program today.
Yeah, and thank you for making We Have the Power such an inspiration to people, Brian. Keep up the amazing work.
Oh, yeah. Take care.
PR Connections Radio thanks you for watching this podcast. Check out more episodes of this show and our others at prconnectionsradio.com.